Hello, today's topic is around ChatGPT, and I am an institutional researcher who is conducting research in higher education and support colleges and universities as an organization and institution. So that's what institutional research means. And I'm going to talk about the application of ChatGPT in this field from my personal professional experience and some of the limitations that each higher ed researcher might need to be aware of when use ChatGPT in our daily research life. This presentation is made possible because a panel discussion that I attended with a few other experts in the field for the NEAR conference, which stands for Northeast Association for Institutional Research. So today, what I'm sharing is only my personal experience and what I shared during that panel. While this would be a much detailed version of my experience and discussions around my perspective of the application, especially the limitation and tips for using ChatGPT in the field of higher ed and institutional research. Because during that panel, we don't have enough time to go into detail for each body's personal professional experience. So I'd like to take advantage of this YouTube video and elaborate what I meant when I share my experience during the panel. So the first application, let's start with what ChatGPT is really good at, the language, specifically English language writing. And you might find out I am actually an international student, so I do need a lot of grammar, revision, and writing assistance. Before ChatGPT emerges, I heavily rely on UCLA's, which is my graduate programs institution, their writing center, and also Grammarly and some other tools. And also like just look up dictionaries and use Google to do a lot of writing assistance help. While with ChatGPT, this conversational chatbot, I find it really useful for me, not only personally, but also in my day-to-day research writing and email generating, that kind of writing. And specifically on this slide, I'm talking about this zero draft, which basically means just no matter of the grammar or the flow of the writing, you just flesh out the ideas you would like to write. So that has been a very good writing strategy because there's not such kind of pressure putting on the writer, and you just need to put down your ideas without any worry about the grammar, the logic, the flow. So I usually need to generate this zero draft myself because ChatGPT is not going to give you ideas to write. You do need to have some argument you want to prove, some ideas you want to persuade others to believe, and with idea of what kind of evidence you're going to use. What is the main idea you want to convey? So that's the zero draft, the idea you have in mind. You do need to have that kind of zero draft to enter into ChatGPT and ask them to revise it for you. And as I mentioned, it's really good at doing that. So the other kind of zero draft, talking maybe not very academically, not very seriously about like research type of writing, it's also very useful to generate posts of LinkedIn posts, your social media posts if you would like to promote yourself using kind of the ideas you have. And also emails. I used it in polish the tone of my email day to day when communicating research results with colleagues. So a tip I'd like to share there is ChatGPT often gives you a lengthy response. When you give them an idea, it may expand that idea to several paragraphs. So you do need to specify your requirement because you're writing, for example, an email, you do want people to read it. So you might need to be clear, but also concise. People have limited time. So you need to put in the prompt, for example, please revise this zero draft, or maybe not saying that. Please revise the grammar, or please write an email about this idea that I want to explain around this data point to a colleague in higher ed. Please be concise in your response. So by specifying the concise requirement, ChatGPT is going to generate a much more better usable email message that you can use. Same thing for LinkedIn post, but that might not be as much needed in terms of the conciseness thing. So it might be okay to write several paragraphs as long as you have those emojis and some picture around the things you are celebrating with your LinkedIn friends. The other one, as we kind of touched upon, is this research reporting writing. So you have your zero draft, you have your maybe evidence out already, like you have this data, you observed some trend in your data, and you have a sentence or two that you have yourself describing this data and your hypothesis of what this might mean. And you're going to ask ChatGPT to polish that language for you as an academic, maybe research paper. So sometimes you need to generate very long text because you're reporting on a whole survey, for example, and it has several different sections of the different research question you're going to report. So that's very long, and you're not going to get very good response if you are asking ChatGPT to generate such a long text, such a full report in one kind of prompt. So you do need to break down step by step the different paragraph, the different section, or even the different small ideas that you would like to ask their help with. So it's likely that you still need, just like those email and small idea kind of response you would like ChatGPT to help you with. You do need to break down, for example, each data point, each bullet point kind of research finding you would like ChatGPT to help you refine with. Instead of putting all the zero draft with several different ideas inside and ask ChatGPT to flesh out or to polish. From my experience, ChatGPT performs much better when you give it idea by idea, or if that's not possible, if that's too many, paragraph by paragraph would be like the optimal use case. So the tip there is step by step, break it down if it's a very long task. If it's a very a full report to generate, you'd better ask it to do it step by step, to do it paragraph by paragraph, or even better, idea by idea. The last thing that, not the last thing, I guess on this slide, the kind of focusing on this zero draft kind of revision idea, the last use case personally, I find ChatGPT is really good at is summarizing. For example, you write a a lot of like a full detailed version of a description about this research finding. And ChatGPT is just really a good handy tool if you want to generate an abstract based on this full detailed description. So at this stage, you can actually put the maybe several paragraphs into ChatGPT and ask it to generate a concise abstract, maybe require it to be 150 words. That's the usual case for the word limit for abstract. And then ask it to assume like your writing is for a research report. So please make the tone sounds like that. So in this case, it will summarize in very, the performance is very good. It will summarize the description for you into a concise, shorter summarization. And I've used that for several actually conference proceeding kind of research reports, and it has been received very well. Like the peer reviewers think that's a good abstract, and it summarized the full paper well. So ChatGPT has been very useful for that. Other things that might be more relevant to an institutional researcher or social science researcher are survey design. So that's a common research method that's still very popular in the field of social sciences. So ChatGPT is really good at kind of collecting different information that it's trained on. It has a lot of data, a lot of ideas. So ChatGPT is really helping this survey design kind of job that we do. So first, the first type of usage that I find it's very useful is to improve the clarity of the survey question. So sometimes we researchers phrase questions using technical terms that might not be very user friendly for students. So higher ed student, like 20 years old, they do not know much, for example, about this like tuition. And what do you mean by this sticker price of this tuition? Does it mean my room and board is included or not? So a lot of those definition and it's technical somehow like for higher ed professionals. So to improve the clarity of this survey question, I often ask ChatGPT to kind of just to double check if this survey question is clear enough for a 20-year-old college student. And if not, please improve the clarity. Please maybe define some of the stuff and point out where I need to give more clarification around. So that's one type of usage of ChatGPT. The other one is what I guess a lot of other YouTuber talked about is to use ChatGPT to brainstorm. And in this case, specifically for survey design, it's a lot of like, please come up with a full list of possible answer for a certain research, for a certain survey question. Because, for example, if you are asking what type of class activity is useful for you, in a survey, and the student is going to choose like maybe to reflect on their class activities and select what works best for them. It might be hard to come with like a full list of all the possible different class activities that might happen in class. So this would be a good scenario to ask ChatGPT to help you with, to come up with a full list of those answers. So pretty helpful in the survey design stage to brainstorm different answers, to clarify and revise those survey questions. But to put that language aside, you do need to come up with the different draft survey questions, you do need to know what is the goal of your survey, what kind of things you want to ask students in the first place before you can ask ChatGPT to help you with generating different answers and clarify the language of the survey itself. So that's the kind of survey kind of assistance. The other thing that's more focused on data analytics is ChatGPT can actually be your learning buddy. So you're asking help, just like you're maybe chatting with a friend or a colleague or even a faculty member, a teacher, about how to study this, how to write this problem, but it's tricky because ChatGPT is not good at math. So we will talk more about in the limitation section. But here, what I want to highlight is if you're learning code, like if you're a beginner, you don't know how to write Python or R code or other codes, it's likely that ChatGPT will help you well, because that's still considered as kind of language. So it's not math yet, it's not logic yet. It's just about from all the data you've seen, like all the web you scraped that you've been getting trained on. So ChatGPT, please tell me how other people write this kind of code. For example, how do I install pandas with pip in Mac terminal? How other people have been writing code like that to install pandas. For example, that's one example. Other examples are like different functions, different packages in R or Python, and you don't know how to use that function. If you are a R user, you may know that there is a helper page within RStudio that you can search different function and their usage, their example for. But with ChatGPT, it's even easier. It generates example data for you, and you can implement it. You can copy and paste it in your RStudio and run the code and see how this function just works. So the other kind of example that you may use ChatGPT as a learning buddy ways is to give you examples of some new knowledge, some new function that you don't know how to use. So that's the other thing. And as I kind of already mentioned, the package. So you might not have all the knowledge you have for all the different R packages available. So it's always kind of helpful and a good practice sometimes when you are going to write your own function to achieve some goal. There might already be some R package exist for you. For example, one time I run all the different regression model and I want to compare the results in one nice table and print out that table in the PDF format. And I tried to kind of create my own function to do that. But it turns out R has this package. I forgot its name, but you can just input, you can copy and paste this prompt into ChatGPT, and the answer would be, there are a few, I think something around like clean, something. So some R package that's available, at least two are available there for you to print out those regression model results. So a great helper on finding different packages and save your time. You don't have to build from scratch for a lot of the function and to achieve a lot of the like different purpose. So ask ChatGPT if there's package for some purpose you're going to achieve. And some other thing that's more maybe specific, depending on the task, depending on what you want to achieve in the process of data analysis. You might work with textual data and you want to learn about like regular expression, if you know what that is. So for example, you are going to, there are 100 rows of different string, like different tags, in the middle of which you will find a date. some year, 2023 year. So you want to extract the date from those 100 strings. So you can ask ChatGPT to do that. You ask how to extract a date from these strings and you paste that in. Or you don't need to give all the 100 example. You can just give 3 example, and hopefully it can catch some kind of a pattern, the complexity of those all those strings. But you can start from there and see if you can achieve your purpose of extracting the date using the response, which is likely some R code, or if you are using Python, you just replace this R with Python. So that's very helpful. And from my experience, maybe 90 out of 100 times it gets correct. So let me put it in this way. So if the first time you ask it, it generates some response and you copy those code to your RStudio and it's correct, then that's 100%. But sometimes in the first attempt, it does not give you the right code, which you can identify by just copy those response to this RStudio and it stopped. It gets some error message, and that means this is actually a not good response, not a correct response. It doesn't work. So if you try to continue your conversation within that same page with this ChatGPT, it's likely that your second attempt or third attempt are all wrong. So that's just my experience. It's better that you start a new clean chat without any history with this ChatGPT, and you enter a brand new prompt with maybe rephrase your prompt to say more clearly, to give more example, to explain more about what you try to achieve. And sometimes the previous tip also apply, break it down. Maybe your kind of task is too complex to achieve in one shot. So you need to break it down to say, ask yourself, what could be the first step that need to do before we can proceed to the next step? Maybe we need 3 steps to extract this long string. Maybe the first step is only just identify whichever string is a digit first, and then within all those digits there are some date within it. So trying to break it down yourself and just ask one question at one time, and just create brand new kind of prompt, clear the history when it gives you some error, like wrong response. Do not try to continue the conversation, because it's likely that it's not worth it, your time, to trying to fix it. Just clear the history and start from scratch there, and just putting new prompts. So the last one, which is like obviously not the last case that you would ask ChatGPT to do, but just my example here. So sometimes you need to replace all the NA with 0, and other times you might need to do other things, like you need to sort the different numbers in a row, in a column, I mean, or you want to sort different columns by their column name. So all those different nitty-gritty kind of data analytic and data cleaning job, you can ask ChatGPT to do as your learning buddy. Okay, so if you are a more experienced user with writing code, you might ask some other kind of help. ChatGPT can really help you to improve your efficiency when you are writing code. So for example, if you find yourself repeating yourself a lot of the times, it's likely that you can create a function to do the thing you're going to do. For example, there is a variable that has, let's say, 5 values in it, and you find yourself repeating 5 times of making visualization, maybe for each, or finding each value in based on another column, stuff like that. So basically you're repeating yourself 5 times because there are 5 different values in the variable. It's likely that you can create a function and make that value just a parameter in this function. And you can just use that function just one time and achieve that thing that you've repeated 5 times about. And ChatGPT is really good at it when you say, I'm going to loop through each value in this variable and doing this task for each of the variable. Please help me to create a function to do that. And you're likely to get a workable function. You can just copy and paste to your RStudio or your Python. So that's kind of one case to improve your efficiency yourself. The other one is just generally asking ChatGPT by just copy your own code and paste it in this ChatGPT interface and say, I've written this code, how can I make them more efficient? So sometimes it will give you some like function, sometimes it will make it more concise by replacing some function with another more efficient function. But it's just something to play with to see if there's some possibility that you can actually make your codes more clean, nice, and just more efficient. Okay, so that's kind of my kind of professional and personal experience using ChatGPT for different purpose. And I find ChatGPT really helpful. So that's like text summarization, those revision of my zero draft, brainstorming, not only about survey design, but also brainstorming a lot of life topics. So, but specifically in this case for institutional research and social science research, I guess, survey design is one of my example because I use survey methodology every day. So that's like survey clarification and the different answers for a survey question kind of help. And the last part is if you are a data analyst, you are going to, if you would like to write some code to do your data analytic job, it's likely that ChatGPT is a really good learning buddy for you. So, and to improve your efficiency in your writing, in your code writing. So that's several aspects I find ChatGPT really useful. But ChatGPT does have maybe not a lot, but several noticeable limitations that we as researchers and just personal life human need to be aware of. So the first is ChatGPT, a language model. It's based on this natural language processing, which is just predicting the next word. So it's not a human having the ability to calculate, to have logic, to infer one thing based on another. So ChatGPT is not actually understanding the math, the logic behind the word. It's just predicting the next word based on this previous word. So that explains a lot when you get some hallucination, like those different not factual results, because it's just predicting the next word. It does not know if this is correct or not, and it does not know the different calculation. Like at one time I remember, because I need to do a road trip from Dallas to Seattle, and I asked ChatGPT to give me a plan, and based on the length, like the distance between these two destinations, and it gives me really wrong math. So it says you need to take 5 days, but each of the day does not add up to the distance, the total distance. So it's not working for this math. And my husband just shared with me this other example, which is a lot of human ask who is the wife of a famous person. So a lot of people have been asking this question this way. So who is the wife of this famous male celebrity? And then ChatGPT is get trained on that, and ChatGPT knows the answer of who is the wife. However, if you ask ChatGPT the other way around, who is the husband of this wife, this person. This person might be nobody, and ChatGPT suddenly does not know the answer. But as a human, we know, like logically, if this person is this person's wife, then that the husband would be this celebrity. But ChatGPT cannot solve that problem. You can try it on your own. If you find out ChatGPT actually can answer correctly, that might mean many people have been tried like this question and it actually figured out because it's trained on that data. So that's just a little bit about this other example that's really I find out really fun and to share with you. But basically, this is the first big limitation of ChatGPT. It's just predicting the next word. It's not understanding the logic behind it. So the other big limitation, a lot of people have been like talking about this, is this thing called hallucination, which means they just guess. They guess the word that might be wrong, that might be a lie. So don't believe his lies. So that's ChatGPT. So a few reasons might be possible, and those are based on several other sources I've learned from Googling. So I'll attach those different resources under the description of this video so that you can take a look of like the different kind of credible source that's more credible than me, who are talking about why hallucination is happening. But to summarize here, it's just because of the training process. So the training process, the training example always have some sort of answer, like from the website that the ChatGPT crawled and learned. There are really few training examples that says, I don't know, for this question, this prompt you entered. I must generate some response. Even I don't know, I won't say I don't know. I'll say something. I'll just guess. So that's when a lot of the case that hallucination happens. And it trains on, as I said, like kind of mentioned, a lot of frequent asked questions. But if your prompt is really specific, it's really like rarely asked by anybody else, and then that means ChatGPT is not trained on it. They have not learned those type of questions before. So with no training example, with no similar prompts, it cannot find like similar answer and good answers. It hallucinate. It guess. It just predict next word based on everything else it learned, but not specific to this prompt you're entering. And the other thing that's relevant here is the training example is usually English. ChatGPT, a like OpenAI, an American company, and lots of the training example online are English. Although there are other language that's kind of emerging. Maybe they're working on training more language on different other language. That's not the mainstream. But currently, ChatGPT is not performing as well in Chinese, in Korean, in Japanese, in other languages. And I learned this from another video, a kind of documentary video that I'll paste in the video description below. So that's kind of because of the same kind of reason behind, because of the training example. It's not as diverse, it's not as unique per like users' needs. So that's kind of the reason. The other one is still about this training example problem. So based on a source, I think it's Brooklyn's newspaper or something. So they said OpenAI reported that over half of their training example are from website. So they crawled web data from the internet. While the internet is not always the correct or the most reliable data source, right? So bias is embedded in like people's mind and people's comments on the internet. So the source itself is biased. So ChatGPT could be very biased because of a lot of the training example it's relied on. And on the other hand, ChatGPT, from what I learned, they said it's trained, it's machine learning, but it's also human in the loop, and it also use this reinforcement learning based on humans' feedback. So when I don't know if you encountered this, but because I used ChatGPT too many times, it asked me to rate two different answers. So I enter a question, a prompt, and it generates two answers to me. And it asks me if you prefer A or B. So that's my feedback. I'm giving, as a human, the feedback to ChatGPT and to the system around its performance. Sometimes I also have bias. So that kind of reinforced how ChatGPT learn. If I'm giving a biased kind of choice of this A over B, but it's actually not correct or not biased, it's biased, then it's reinforced, like the ChatGPT is getting better rate on this response A, but it's actually not the best choice for other people, right? So that's kind of the training process, and all about why the response is not perfect, like because the training and the data source are not perfect and not diverse enough. And these other limitation, not sure if many people talked about it, but at least we have this intuition that big data and technology sometimes hurts privacy. So it applies to this area of ChatGPT as well. So everything you enter for the free version, at least for ChatGPT 3.5, which is the free version, you do not need to subscribe. So for that one, everything you enter becomes data. They learn from your data. So please do not share your personal information, your driver's license number, your SSN, or anything. Or if you are a researcher, especially you are a like qualitative researcher, you have lots of student data. For example, if you conducted an interview with a student and the student shared something personal, and you are using ChatGPT to do data analysis, to do summarization. ChatGPT is really good at. However, due to the confidentiality of your research data, you might need to be aware that everything you enter will be data and could one day be kind of public, and people may search for this and they may get an answer because you entered this there. So you must de-identify your qualitative data or any data you enter that you seek ChatGPT's help with. So that's a special note, especially for researchers, because we do have the responsibility to protect our data, our student privacy, and our data confidentiality. If you are using ChatGPT to help your data analysis and qualitative data analysis especially, please be mindful on that. And then that's kind of the limitation around privacy, around why it lies, like why the data source is biased and not diverse enough. And the point about why it's actually just a language model. It's just predicting the next word. It's not actually understanding the meaning or the logic behind it. And then as a maybe potential solution, there are like ChatGPT, there are GPT-4, which is like more advanced, and I guess they're developing GPT-5. So it will be more advanced and the performance will be much better. And from my personal knowledge, which is very limited, I find if you are searching for some like fact-based answer, do not rely on ChatGPT. Double check, first of all. And also, I think personally, I find Bing is a better, like kind of more reliable source for like fact kind of answer, fact checking. For example, if you are asking recommendation of books or kind of reference for your paper, who you need to cite, stuff like that, ChatGPT will kind of just come up with random names and books and author names that just does not exist, because it's just predicting the next word that makes sense to it, but it's not actually like a real name, a real thing. You'd better go to Bing, because it first of all use GPT-4, while ChatGPT, the free version, is only GPT-3 or 3.5. So Bing has better performance and it's free. That version, like Bing, is free as well. So the other, I guess, big benefit of using Bing is it actually cite different sources. It will give you, for example, if you're asking book recommendation, it will give you a list of books on a certain topic that you indicated that you're interested in, and it actually attach different links to it. So you can actually click those different answers and find that this book actually exists, and here is the website for it. So I don't have much experience on Google's Bard, but feel free to share your experience in the comments. So just the basic idea I want to convey here is kind of expand, diversify your own kind of toolbox. Just know that there are other things around that's similar to ChatGPT and might have different pro and cons in terms of using it. But personally, for non-fact checking kind of question and answers, I do like what ChatGPT give to me. It generally, for me personally, I do think ChatGPT for brainstorming purposes, for writing revision, it performed better than Bing. So just personal experience and personal preference, I guess. And then the next one is it's still kind of solving this issue of hallucination, because like data source is biased and training example is very like generalized. But you as a researcher, you might have very specific needs. You might have very specific research question that you want to understand, and a very specific, unique data point you want to understand. So you do need some domain experts review, like which is yourself, your colleague, just double check with the response you get, and from your own contextual knowledge to judge if this response actually applies to you. Because ChatGPT is just this general large language model that's not going to solve very unique contextual-based questions. And if you are kind of a AI developer kind of thing, that's what they call a fine-tuning for different specific applications. So if you are building some tool that's specific to a field, for example, social science research or higher education, kind of professionals training, stuff like that, you need to have more specific contextualized data for this field to fine-tune this large language model in order for it to perform well in this specific field that needs very specific contextualized domain knowledge. So that's also kind of the general process of applying machine learning system, which is very general, to business. You do need some domain experts review and their opinion that would likely be very helpful to kind of make up what ChatGPT or other machine learning model is not aware of or is having some bias on. So some food for thought. And some more tips that we've already mentioned it in the previous slide are step by step. So if you are giving ChatGPT a very complex task, it's likely that they won't perform well, because you can think of it as a human. You yourself need to think it through first. If you are yourself is not thinking it through and you're only having a vague idea of what you try to achieve, you can ask ChatGPT to kind of help you to kind of brainstorm what are the different steps, but you cannot achieve your goal with one step, right? So break down your task, and it's also helpful for yourself to think it through, and to solve it, and ask ChatGPT's help, idea by idea, paragraph by paragraph, and maybe step by step. So that's kind of from my experience, that helped ChatGPT to help you to get more kind of workable and good answers, correct answers. So that's breakdown tasks tip. The other tip is specify your requirement, because ChatGPT is generating with its own preference, which is given by the majority of the users. They made feedback that they prefer, for example, maybe long paragraphs. They think it's more elaborated, it's more comprehensive. However, if you are writing an email, for example, or if you are writing a like paper abstract that does have a word limit, you do need to specify your specific requirement there in your prompt so that it gives you what you expected and needed. So that's kind of specify as much as you can of your expectation in the response, so that the response is actually giving you something you like, you can use directly. So I guess that's all we talked about privacy, about hallucination, about the data source, and why it's not good at math and logic, and some possible solutions there too, like diversify your toolbox, break it down, have yourself and your colleagues review as a domain expert. So some key takeaways here, just as an overview, summarization of this whole presentation here. So brainstorming, summarization, revision, like writing, code generation and explanation are what ChatGPT are really good at. And I welcome you to take ChatGPT as your learning buddy if you are a beginner trying to learn how to write code. You do have some experience using probably like Excel, and you do know like how to break things down, how to break a data analytic job down to smaller steps. And then you can ask ChatGPT how to achieve them step by step using code, instead of like you can say, I'm using Excel to do this, and usually I will break it down to these steps. However, I'm learning R or Python coding. So can you generate those code for me so I can like paste and see if it can achieve the same results? So that's a very good learning buddy here for you. So I really appreciate what like OpenAI has done, like creating this new tool that we mostly will be benefited from. While there are limitations that we as users need to be aware of, hallucination and those facts errors in ChatGPT. The solution might be use other like ChatGPT and Bing that has a source cited for you, so that you can trace back and check if the response is actually something real and exist. It's bad at math and logic, but it's good at predicting the next word. But we need to be aware that if we are asking something about around number, around logic, we need to be really careful about that, because to just know that the answer might be wrong because of what it meant to be. It just meant to predict the next word. It's really good at it. It's really good at writing stuff like that. So we might have better idea of how to better use ChatGPT given those limitations and the different kind of well done application of ChatGPT. The other one, just to understand why ChatGPT is having this limitation of like biased answer or wrong answer or hallucinated lies. It's just maybe because of those training example, the data source. It's majorly English, and sometimes it's from website data, it's internet. So the training example, the data source are biased. So kind of understanding why this model have those limitations. And lastly, a few tips that I've mentioned multiple times. Just break it down, specify your expectation in the prompt, have some domain experts review. Do not just fully rely on it. Use those other tools, and aware that there's a privacy issue there. So just use it with really care and awareness of the limitation and the risks there. So just use it for really general, can be public kind of usage. Do not really enter very personal and confidential data there with ChatGPT. Okay, that's all for this presentation. Please let me know if you have any questions, you'd like to hear more about it, you are interested in something relevant, or you have your own experience you would like to share. Please leave a comment, and let's build up a community and learn from each other. Thank you very much.